Hey guys, Mr. Chapman here. This is the fourth video on a series of videos on database skills. Quick recap from the first three. We've looked at building a file on students, and we've looked at constructing our first table and populating the table with fields and starting to set up some of the lists that enter information, as well as fields for typing in information. I have opened my Unit 2 database systems folder on the screen, and I have my database, which I'm going to jump straight into. And when you load your database, you will need to make sure that you have open the what we would call the objects list. And you can see that my current database file consists of one object, which is the students table, or TBL students. And when I double click on that, it opens straight up. On your computers, you may get an option asking you to enable it due to security. That's fine, just accept that and open it into the view that you can see here. In class, we made a couple of minor changes. We looked at the house drop-down menu, and we went into the design view and looked at the properties of the list and added more items. And in addition to that, we entered in a change from straight text to making the summer and the co-curricular fields drop-down menus as well. So if you haven't done that, that will be something that you'll need to backtrack to our previous video and make sure that you go back through the skill of going into the design view of a table and then going to the appropriate field and making the change. So that's a little bit of a test of your skills to make sure that you can actually go back and do that. Okay, the purpose of this particular video is to get information into the database. Another way to put it is simply to start entering fields and records into the database. The simple way of doing it is going to the data view, and we can just start to type. So I'll just use that test student again, because I don't have all of the records for the students. We'll be collecting that in class. And I'll just put a dummy date of birth in there and some choices. We're going to leave the photo field free because we actually need to construct the next object, which is called a form. Now, you'll be familiar with the notion of a form as being a visual display, a graphical user interface that you can work with. Now, when you're working with databases, depending on the information that you're managing and how you decide to design and create the database, you've got a choice. You can basically maintain this table view and simply type in records, as I've just done, or we can go deeper into the database and start to create additional objects. I strongly recommend the creation of forms because it just makes your database work more like a piece of software, and it's certainly a better user experience for an inexperienced end user. Now, I know that that's not you guys, but if you're developing a database for another person or another group, using forms as a point of data entry and also navigating records is definitely the way to go. Okay, so what we're going to do now, using the remaining time on this particular video, it's going to take a couple of minutes. I'm going to step you through the next database object, which is the construction of a form. What I have open at the moment is the table, and I'm going to close that table down because I want to be able to draw off that table and construct another object. So creating a form is very, very simple. We simply go to the Create menu. We're moving from tables past queries into the Forms section, and there are a range of options here. What we want to do is use the wizard so that it'll give us a layout for a new form, and we can just choose all of the fields that we created for the table and construct it. It's quite a tedious task to build a form from scratch. So we're going to use the power of the software to work for us. I've just clicked on Form Wizard, and it opens up a new dialog box. It is tracking the other objects in the database. So you can construct a form or a visual display for either tables or queries. Now, we haven't discussed queries yet, so at the moment we're just going to build a form based on our table. Here we have a list of all of the fields. You can select individual items if you only wanted to create a form based on a couple of fields. What we want is everything. So using that double arrow to the right, we're sending all of those fields to the form, and then we're moving through the wizard. There are a range of different options, and it gives you options for views. We'll use columnar. Next, it asks us what is the title. Now it's really good practice to use that prefix. So this will be form or FRM students, and we've got TBL table students, and down the track we'll have queries and reports as well. So keeping that good naming practice going definitely pays dividends later. That's all the information that you need to create. There are some other options here, but at this stage we'll just hit finish and we'll allow access to work for us. And now you can see that there is a new object in Microsoft Access. So looking across to the left, there is a new object under the heading Forms, FRM Students. In the right hand side, we can see the data view of the form. It's ready for us to type in records. So it's actually showing us that very first record that we typed in. And there are some navigation tools right at the bottom, some small buttons that we can use. And you can see that there is currently record 1 of 1 in our database. So that's where we're up to. We can click to the right and select new blank object, or blank record rather, and we'll type in some more information. So this will be test student 2, date of birth can be a couple of days ago. We'll just choose rowing and fitness as that particular one. We'll hit save. Now I'm going to finish the video here, but I'm just going to point out a couple of important things. First of all, the form and the table are linked. They are not two totally separate entities within the database. The form is a view of the information in the table. So we have entered information into the form for test 2. We've saved, and if I close that object down, when I double click on the table, you'll notice that that record is there. So forms allow us to visually work with the same information. We can enter, and then we can also view records as well. So I'm just saving all of those changes, and I'm closing that down, and we'll leave this video here, and then I'll be continuing on with some more skills around the form in the next video. So thanks for watching.